everyone, and welcome to Zest Zen with me, Shel, the podcast that will take you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion whilst finding your peace. Today, it's truly an absolute honor to welcome Annette, a trauma-informed holistic wellness practitioner whose story is nothing short of inspiring. Her path has taken her from facing life-changing challenges with breast cancer to becoming a certified energy medicine practitioner. Her journey is a testament to her courage, resilience, and the transformative power of the human spirit. With years of experience in healthcare and human resources, she noticed that there were gaps between traditional medicine and true healing, and she made it her mission to bridge that divide. Through Healing with Annette, she empowers others to reclaim their vitality, shift from surviving to thriving, and step fully into their innate strength and power. I know that her story is going to really allow us to think outside the box and rethink what healing looks like and embrace our inner resilience and recognize that the profound power we each hold is always within us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you?
Oh, Shel, thank you. I am well. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. It's so lovely to connect with you. And yeah, reading your bio, I know, as we say sometimes on the other side, it's so easy sometimes to be able to say almost like it's something that didn't even happen to you when you're saying it backwards. But I can imagine that what you've been through and still maybe the after, because I know that it's not one thing that just happened and then that's it. I know there's repercussions afterwards, and yeah, I would just love you to share whatever you feel would really benefit from that benefit the listeners right now, and probably being a little bit not getting my words out as easily because I'm sure with lots of people listening, this is quite a thing that's close to home, and unfortunately, there's usually at least one person we know that's been through what you've been through, and so I think it's a lot of emotion in me right now. But yeah, if you'd like to just share whatever you feel would be of benefit to anyone listening.
Sure. Well, thank you, Shel. First of all, thank you for that beautiful, heartfelt introduction. I want to thank you for reaching out and inviting me onto your show. I'm so grateful to be sharing my story because I do feel that we each have the ability to get through whatever challenge we're facing. Mm-hmm. And through that challenge is the way. But we're not told to lean into difficulty or to run into challenges. And women, especially girls, we're programmed from a very early age to behave, be quiet, not make a scene, be of service, but not expect our needs to be met. And these dichotomies, these old narratives that are falling away, I felt that falling away as part of my breast cancer journey. I was diagnosed in January of 2020, a few months before the world shut down with COVID, right? And it was devastating to go from, being able to bring somebody with you to your medical appointments to not being able to bring anybody and having to isolate because of COVID. I'm sure my cancer experience and those that were also diagnosed in that era, around COVID, have experienced a similar type of devastation from that isolation. And I think we're all recovering. We're all picking up those pieces, so to speak. That first year was really hard. I went through the paclitaxel, which is one of the harsher chemo drugs. That's the one that makes your hair fall out and causes neuropathy in your hands and your feet. And I really suffered. I lost physical strength, physical mobility. There was a point where I couldn't do stairs. I got really weak, and it's been a tough road, but I found my way through with a multi-modality type of approach, physical therapy, acupuncture. At one point, I was doing PT on land and water, and I joked that I
Wow.
really wanted to do the aerial PT. I never got to do that, but
Not yet.
not yet. But also, like Pilates, these different ways of strengthening the body, I've discovered are really, really helpful, especially if you're dealing with a lot of joint pain, which is quite common after the
Mhm.
chemotherapy treatments. And Western medicine isn't really equipped to help you strengthen. They'll give you a pill for the pain. They'll connect you with palliative care, for pain management. But to get strong, you really have to advocate for yourself. And I remember early on, I was seeing an acupuncturist. My oncologist had recommended acupuncture to help manage the side effects, and
Mm.
so I was seeing a gal. She was quite capable. I had no reason to change, but I kept getting this nudge, like a tap on the shoulder. Hey, you need to go to this other building.
Mm.
And so in 2021, I listened to that voice and I switched acupuncturists.
Wow.
And I'm so glad I did, because she connected me with a woman who then connected me with who would become
Mm.
my medicine wheel teacher, and also connected me with a woman that would become my counselor. And,
Wow.
just all these different women that were instrumental in me rising from the ashes.
Yeah.
And the medicine wheel teachings, that training was so transformative, to be able to be guided to shed the skins of the past as an act of
Mm.
power and an act of love. I found that to be so freeing, and to lean into non-judgment and non-attachment and non-suffering, and to intentionally look for the beauty. It's all around us. It's just whether or not we can see it or not.
Wow.
Are we are we
Yeah.
blind to it because of our suffering and the stories that we tell ourselves, or can we lift the lid that we carry on our stories enough that we can see the beauty? And that's part of what I learned from my teachings with Coco Elwood out of Minneapolis. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Well, even in that, like someone just hearing now, because, I guess, it does become appointments. And like what you said, you had a very much different, I'm sorry that you experienced it during that time or to experience it at all. But I know that, yeah, even having someone being able to come to your appointment is still very traumatic and a lot for somebody. So to have everything completely shut down and not only going for it, but almost, yeah, and I think also just the thought of going near any medical facility during that time because of the way everyone was, all masked up, and it was traumatic just to go and get your nose swabbed. So for you to be
right.
going through that, wow, it really shows the strength not only of your body, which you have spoke a lot about, but your mind. And I know we kind of say this, but I truly believe it. This is the commander of the ship, I believe, because there's like what you said, that there's kind of allowing what's happening to your body and just being okay, this is what's happening, or there's no, I'm not accepting this, I'm going to keep trying. And I think like what you said, rising from the ashes, that's a really strong mindset. And not only that, and I think people come with the most beautiful, purest, kindest intentions. But often, I think also you get that kind of sympathy energy, which is understandable. You don't want straight away when you found out this news someone to be like, really like, it's okay, you'll get through it. Like, of course, you want compassion. But I think sometimes you're often stuck, not you personally, but sometimes people are in this, how are you? Because that feels like the kind, caring thing to do, but that's a very low frequency again of like, the person can easily become into that kind of comfort level as well, of like, not, kind of, it's quite nurturing, but not in an empowering way, you know? So I would love to know, like, how did you keep your mindset so strong, particularly when you were going through it, most of it, pretty much all of it, by yourself?
Yeah, well, right from the beginning, I remember writing on my notebook that I brought to all my medical appointments, I will ace cancer school. And I really, I just, that was my intention. And I just plodded along very stubbornly. If stubbornness has a benefit, it comes in handy during cancer treatment when you want
Yes.
to heal. Okay. And
Oh,
I did. I really set the intention to heal. And so that was like my guiding arc. And, you know, in the middle of that 2 year medicine wheel training that I did with Colleen, I also did a 6 month training with Alberto Velodo of the Four Winds.
mm,
And that's when I received the certification as an energy medicine
wow.
practitioner. And I remember before I had signed up for that training, I remember reading Alberto's book, Grow a New Body. And I remember looking at this book thinking, God, I want to do this, but I need some guidance. I don't know where to begin. I don't know these supplements. Are they safe for me? Will they feed the
Mm,
cancer? Are they going to interact with the chemo drugs? I really didn't know. And when I had my reoccurrence in 2022, I connected with the Mayo Clinic down in Rochester, Minnesota. And built into that oncology department is integrative care. And I found a way to receive integrative care within the healthcare system and have it be billed to insurance. Because before
wow.
that, I was paying out of pocket, you know, for integrative care. And so they were able to guide me on the supplements. And when I did that training with the Four Winds, we had a month focused on that book, Grow a New Body. So I was able to
Mm,
get the one on one support and guidance that I needed, not only from the Four Winds, but also from my oncology team. And you know, that's just how it was. I seemed to attract the right people onto
mm,
my bus to help me heal and thrive. Like I said, I was working with an acupuncturist, and you know, and then I switched, and she connected me with these other women that really helped me adjust my mindset. During that time, I also read Glennon Doyle's Untamed, and that also helped me shed, you know, the expectations of that we put on women and girls, and help me come home to myself. But it wasn't easy. There were days that
yeah.
I struggled and I was in brain fog. I changed my diet multiple times. I was vegetarian for a while because of the taste changes. Meat just didn't appeal to me. And then I went whole food, plant based, and I was constantly in a brain fog. And I was trying to read that book, How to Starve Cancer, which is not an easy book to read, especially if you're in a state of brain fog. And one day I decided to add fish to my salad, and instantly, like, my trajectory changed because I started to add protein back into my life along with the healthy fats that are in fish. And I immediately noticed, oh my God, I can finally read this book. I can finally start to process um, this complex information about how the body works, how the systems work, how these different supplements, you know, stop the
Mm,
cancer from spreading in these different pathways in the body. And not to simplify the complexity of the body, but I found my way through, like you pointed out, with mindset. You
yeah.
know, I set that intention to ace cancer school, and I found my way through the dietary changes to a way that actually worked for my body. And by limiting the carbs, focusing on protein and healthy fats, you know, working with a nutritionist one on one, along with my integrative care team, along with my acupuncturist, along with the oncologist and the physical therapist. You know, there have been a lot of people, my back, helping me, walking alongside me. And that community has been a big part of it.
Mm.
Yeah, community and support, and having women um, willing to, girlfriends willing that were willing to come pick me up, take me out of the condo, get me out for lunch. It was because of the kindness of even strangers when I
Yeah.
was first diagnosed, women just willing to talk to me, to share their story. They're 20 years down the road. But to be able to talk with somebody who's a survivor 20 years down the road really gave me the hope that I needed under my wings. Yeah.
I think that's so important what you're saying, and just reading into potentially how other people could be listening to this now after you just said all the incredible modalities and people and community surrounding you, and just want to think of like all different people right now, and maybe some people were like, because like as I know from unfortunately someone recently being diagnosed, about the financial pressure, and there could be very much someone listening being like, well, I don't have the luxury to have that, but I want, and I would love you to expand on this, but remember, this is Annette's story. This is how Annette, this is what came into Annette's life and how she overcame it. But the beautiful thing is, Annette is here and Annette has walked the path. So I think sometimes like we and it's not saying everybody, but sometimes we think so literally that we have to follow the exact route of someone else. Not saying that anyone has to do that. This is just a sharing. Even down to writing an affirmation in your diary like you did could be such a huge change. It's free, and it could just be such a huge mindset shift for somebody. Okay, I believe everybody can take something, even whatever they're going through. So I just really wanted to just point that out, that when we share these things, that does not mean that, okay, that's what you have to do. No, no, no. This is Annette's journey. And you can connect with this incredible woman who has walked the path. Okay? She's just said about community, even connecting with her and just hearing her story, whatever it is you feel called to do. Don't always think that it has to be this or that. There are multiple solutions and ways, which I think you so beautifully highlighted.
Yes, thank you. There are. And yeah, I recognize, I do have privilege. I am white. My family has, some generational wealth. I grew up middle class, but yeah, I want to acknowledge my privilege and my husband's support, and financially he's like, whatever you need to do, just do it. And I ran up the gold card. I'm sure he regretted giving it to me. But what I would say to somebody who is like, well, I can't afford all these supplements, I can't afford to do this, that, and the other thing out of pocket. What I would say is, okay, that's fine. Work with where you're at. Learn EFT, the tapping technique, that you start up here and you go all the way down and under your eyes. There's plenty of videos out there on YouTube. That you can learn that for free. And that's a simple technique. You can do it anytime. That can help settle your nervous system. And I also think breathing, just focusing on the breath, that's also free. Unfortunately, we're all so stressed out. It's like we forgot how to breathe. And so it's like I've had to learn how to do everything again. I've had to learn how to walk. I've had to learn how to breathe. I've had to learn how to eat, how to go to the bathroom again. Like all these things that we just take for granted. We can deliberately slow down and be intentional. Even if it's just creating space in the morning to like start your day slowly before you get on your phone or on Facebook or whatever. Just take some time for yourself with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and just make some notes. Do some free flow writing of whatever is on your mind or in your heart. That is therapeutic. You don't have to see a counselor for that. And then you have some kind of documentation. So as you go on your journey, you can see how you're doing from day to day. And that practice can also be really helpful. Just
Yeah.
that practice of stopping to notice, how am I feeling in my body? Do I feel safe? Am I at peace? Is my monkey mind rambling? You
Mm.
know, just noticing, just that
Yeah.
act of noticing. That's also free.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I felt from you in that, and thank you really for saying it the way you said it. But also, I want to really like highlight as well. It doesn't actually matter how many resources and how much money we have. At the end of the day, we are still the one that has to get up. And we have to make it happen. We can sit down and we can allow something to take over us, or we can find the excuses, or we can find the solutions. And I know, like, in everything that we're all presented with, and when it is something so traumatic out of our control, like a medical issue where we don't have that certainty, absolutely it becomes a scary world. And you can allow that fear to really take over you. Money can't pay for that. Money can't buy that away from you. So I really want to also honor you for saying that. And I wanted to say it on purpose, so that, yes, I know that you did so much more than that, which you highlighted. And I just think it's always important for just to, in case anyone's thinking a certain way, to just really address all areas, because at the end of the day it goes back to us, everything in everything. And so I really want to acknowledge you for that. And even in you listening to your mind and going to the other building, sometimes we have to be so quiet to hear the whispers
Yes.
and really follow them, because that, again, no one told you that. You had to really hone into your heart, your inner compass, and guide you to where you needed to go. And
Yes.
then, because you listened, because you trusted, because you had faith, doors opened for you. So,
Yes.
so I think I just really wanted to highlight that as well, because I think that's really important. Yeah. Sometimes I think we think money will fix things, but when it comes to health, health actually is our wealth. So,
Yes. Yes,
yeah.
it is.
So really, thank you for that. And I know you have a thriving. I hope I say it right. Thrivership.
Thrivership, yes.
Yeah. Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm on a mission to encourage others, whether it's individuals going through cancer treatment or it's the caregiver supporting the individual.
That's
I'm
really
really
important.
on a mission to share the tools that I've learned. And I have started to go live on LinkedIn on Mondays at 11 a.m. US Central Time, just for 15, 20 minutes. And I share, I've started doing a heart math, heart appreciation technique. So I'm sharing a real simple
Wow.
technique you can do anywhere, anytime, on that weekly live video. And first Fridays of the month, I do have a Thrivership mastermind that goes for an hour where we meet in a group virtually, and I share tools and we talk about, what works, what doesn't. And we really try and focus on the opportunity in the challenge because,
Mm-hmm.
I've wallowed plenty in self despair and suffering, and there's plenty of suffering in the world. I don't think we need to contribute any more
No.
to that. So I want to provide hope. I want to be a ray of light for people so they can find their way through by trusting their own intuition. And yeah, you're right, Shel Marie. To be able to hear that voice, you have to be quiet enough for that message to even get through. And that's a practice right there that is really
Absolutely.
only done by slowing down, which again,
That's,
we can
yeah,
use our breath. Yeah.
absolutely. Like, and I think we always think chaos comes with noise, and it really isn't noise. It could be all the appointments coming through, all this, that,
Yes.
it's something that often isn't always a sound, it's something felt. And like, going back to what you said, stop, breathe. Okay, right now in this moment, what do I need? Do I need to face this right now, or can I just have a moment to myself? And I think that's really important. And even with what you've just shared, it shows your heart and your compassion and your love. And I think it's incredible what you're doing. And I know that so many people will be definitely like, go connect with her on LinkedIn. Give it a go. Go on to, like what we've just said, it's super important community. And of course, we have our friends and families around us, but there's just something different about someone who has gone through or who is going through what you've gone through. And I think it's incredible what you're creating. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I'll also be taking part in Caregiver Con, which is going to be the first Saturday in November, Saturday, November 1st. And I'll be part of the breakout sessions to support caregivers. And I'll be showing people how to make their own essential oil spray, which is
Wow.
really simple, just to help people come home to their bodies. We know how powerful scent is, and in
Mm.
accessing memory, and how healing those the compounds, the terpenes that are found in essential oil. So I'm really excited to share that with people. And then November 8th and 9th, I'll be in Mankato, Wisconsin at a holistic healing fair. And I'm really excited because I'll have a booth and I'll also be speaking at that event. So got a couple events on the calendar. And I'm also I'm making connections in the community because I would love to do this Thrivership Mastermind in person.
Yeah.
And I have lots of art project ideas I want to offer to the public. So I'm going to be filling my calendar with lots of events because I really do feel that we can heal through these small intentional acts, even if it's painting a rock, which
Yeah.
is really simple and doesn't take a lot of material. That can be really healing. And again, it's all about slowing down and being present with what's in front of you and being
Mm.
intentional about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for highlighting about the caregivers as well, because I think often, yeah, the emotions that they're going through and what they're facing, particularly um, as a male, sometimes who they might not be in a stable relationship where they have to make the choice about a baby. And these are big, life changing conversations and situations that people have to make very quick choices about. And yeah, that there's so much that the person, and it doesn't always mean your direct partner, but even your mom, your dad, so many people, it's not just the one person, it's the whole network of people. So I appreciate you really highlighting that.
Yeah.
Wow, what a blessing. And just yeah, your thriving attitude and your lust for life and your love for what you're infusing and creating, it really shines through. And I know for a fact you're going to be very successful in all that you do. And you're going to really, really be an absolute advocate for so many who really are just seeking that, even just that community, that sense of community. It's really important. What I always ask my guests before they go is if there's one thing that someone listening would really benefit from hearing, what would you tell them?
Well, okay, so I will say this, and I learned this because of my cancer diagnosis during COVID, right? You don't have to put all your needs on your partner. COVID really put unrealistic expectations upon our spouses. Our spouses became our whole community, right? Because we had
Yeah.
to isolate and lock down. And what we can do is, yeah, we have our partner, we have our spouse, but we can expand our community we can ask for help, and we can be really specific about what we need. We can, when someone says to you, let me know if there's anything I can do, what that does is that then puts the responsibility on the person that's struggling for their life to come up with what can that person do. So instead of saying, let me know what I can do, offer, I could do this. I could bring you soup. I could pick you up and take you for a walk. I could take you out to lunch. I could take you to the library. Do you want to go see a movie? Offer something specific. Give the person you're offering help to choices. So then they can say, oh, well, I'm not up for a walk. Food's not good, but a movie would be delightful.
Yeah.
So that way you're giving the person options, and you're not putting a responsibility of remembering that, this person offered to help, and then coming up with the idea of what could I need from this person. So I have found that to be helpful. And the other thing I would say is let people in, because when we are open and honest about how we're struggling, when we show our vulnerability and we let our masks fall away, we can actually make real, true, heartfelt, intimate connections that go much deeper than they can if we're wearing our masks, if we're walled off and not letting people in. My mom lost a dear friend to cancer, and that friend didn't want anybody to know she had cancer. And I know people do that, because they're trying to protect themselves, right? It's a protection mechanism that has outworn its use, probably from childhood trauma. And we don't have to be that way. We can let our walls down. We can let people know we're struggling, and we can actually be received with support we didn't even know was possible.
Yeah.
Because by not letting people know, she did a disservice to her community. I'm sorry to say that, because they weren't able to grieve. They weren't able to honor her passing. So when we're open and honest with our community, then they can support us in ways that we can't even anticipate. And we have to let our fears go and lean into that support, because we will be held. From a very early age, I developed this faith in humanity, because I traveled around the country at the age of 18 and 19 years old. And I have this enduring faith in the goodness of humanity because of those travels. And it has risen up to meet me over the last over 5.5 years now, over and over and over again. And so those would be my top recommendations. Yeah.
Wow, that's absolutely beautiful. And I really love how you said about the options, because like what you're saying, like even the person at that point might not even know what they want, but then when you give an option, they can visualize or mentally kind of see themselves doing it, of no, yeah, actually I could do that. And that's so powerful. Thank you so much. Wow, what an absolute honor to connect with you. And I love all you're doing, and I love your little cat just relaxing there. Just coming for the podcast, all three of us. Keep shining. I know you're changing so many incredible, not just women, but people's mindsets, because it doesn't always mean it only has to be about, unfortunately, cancer. That's just something. There's still the community. We can hold each other and we can thrive, like you said. So, absolute angel. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you, Shel Marie. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, dear.